So, it's no secret that we have been making our videos talking about Edmonton Oilers goaltender Jack Campbell. Last time we had talked about him, it was yesterday? No, it was 2 days ago. It just says 1 day ago here because the video was before the time I'm recording this audio right now. But we talked about how Jack Campbell's AHL stint was getting even worse. The guy is getting pulled in AHL games. The guy is not stopping any pucks. And this entire situation has been so bad that we have ourselves an ongoing saga of interesting points of conversation where Jack Campbell just gets worse and worse and worse. I mean, we need to make videos about this guy. This is one of the worst contracts in the NHL right now. $5 million a season until 26-27, 31-year-old goaltender who is signed to be a mainstay NHL guy who can't even keep his job in the AHL. And now, things have gotten even worse. You see, the last time we made a video talking about Jack Campbell, this one right here, It Got Worse for Jack Campbell, He Got Pulled by the Bakersfield Condors video, we actually made it before we had a response from somebody within the organization. And what do I mean by that? Well, here is exactly what I'm talking about. After the game wherein Jack Campbell got pulled from his AHL team, we had ourselves the coach of the Griffins actually going out there and calling Campbell out. Take a look at this quote from Jason Gregor. The Bakersfield Condors head coach Colin Chalk goes out there and says this about Campbell. Recently, it's the goals that are going in that need to be stopped. When he first got here, he wasn't in a place he wanted to be. Then he found it and played well, but then last game, 3 go in that he needs to stop. His attitude has been great, and we need him to stop the ones that he should be stopping. So, yeah, he's getting called out by his AHL coach for not being good enough at $5 million a year. This is probably even worse than we thought it could ever become when the guy initially signed with the Oilers 2 years ago. Or 2 seasons ago, I guess you could say. There is a reply saying, hey, he might need a little bit of time in the ECHL to find his AHL game, but Gregor goes out there and says, yeah, no, Jack Campbell can't go there. NHL contracts are only for the AHL and NHL. He'd need to be on an AHL deal with it having the AHL and ECHL eligibility. And, you know, the guy's making NHL money, he is on an NHL one-way contract, there's no way he would sign an AHL, ECHL deal at this moment in time, but him being trapped in the AHL and him being trapped in the Oilers is one thing. Trying to send him away to another team is another. And we have ourselves an update as to what the trade price could actually be for Jack Campbell and the sweetener that needs to be included in order for him to potentially get moved somewhere else. Take a look at this tweet made by NHL Watcher. Darren Dreger says this on Philip Broberg on today's edition of Insider Trading. He wants to be back in the NHL. And that's not likely in Edmonton unless there's an injury, so the trade route seems the most likely. Here's an interesting twist. Maybe it's not Broberg for an asset coming back to the Oilers. Maybe Philip Broberg becomes the sweetener, so that the Oilers can also move Jack Campbell's contract to free up a little bit of cap space. And you know what? That idea makes sense in theory, but I don't think it's one that will really move the needle all too much. Philip Broberg would need to be a starter. He is an appetizer in this entire idea of sending away Jack Campbell. We've been making our videos about Philip Broberg as well. How he is a young guy, 22 years old, big defenseman, left-handed player. He skates like the wind, and he's on his expiring ELC contract, and he was a former top-round pick, 8th overall in the 2018 draft, and this was a guy that definitely has not shown up in the ways that we thought he could have. Philip Broberg has been equally disappointing. Heck, less disappointing than Jack Campbell because Campbell has the big money attached to him, but for Philip Broberg and being a young prospect that we all thought had a bunch of potential, this guy has not shown off nearly well enough to justify being the quote-unquote sweetener for a Jack Campbell trade. Like, sure, there are going to be teams that are interested in Broberg. That's inevitable. 22 years old, big defenseman, he skates like the wind. If you're able to just fix the toolbox wherein these tools are located within, then you have yourselves a good player. But the Oilers have not been able to do that, and because there's already some doubt, because there's uncertainty, because there were issues like these plaguing Broberg's game ever since he was a draft-eligible prospect in 2019, You're not gonna get Jack Campbell off your squad for just Philip Broberg. Like, there's already enough red flags with this player by himself to say, alright, yeah, we're not gonna get this guy who's already been sort of on and off, and he's been inconsistent. There hasn't been enough good play out of Philip Broberg to justify getting the $5 million behemoth of a setback contract that is Jack Campbell. These are two negative assets at the moment. It's just, for Philip Broberg, you could debate that because he is young enough, there may be a team willing to go out there and, I don't know, just try to fix things up, and that is an idea. It is. There are all the scouting reports you could read about this guy. These are from 4 years ago, talking about how good Philip Broberg could have been as a prospect and how he could have become this puck-moving, puck-rushing defenseman, and we all thought that was the case, right? But now, I mean, looking at the Bakersfield Condors, he hasn't really been doing the hottest over there either. I mean, he's got 4 points in 8 games played. Not really one of the top scoring players on this team. There are some other defensemen that are scoring more points, even with a better points per game number than Broberg is. So, for the AHL squad, Bakersfield Condors, it's tough seeing everything going down here. First, you've got Jack Campbell getting called out by his head coach, the AHL head coach, and now you've got Philip Broberg trade rumors attaching themselves to Campbell too. Even the Adam Herman tweet goes out there and says Edmonton could trade 2019 8th overall pick Philip Broberg in order to rid themselves on Jack Campbell's contract. This is a nice summary of the Oilers' decision-making the last 5 years. And that right there is not great. Ken Holland, buddy, I'm sorry, man, but your job seems pretty difficult right now. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. If you're a fan of any other NHL team, let's say you're a fan of a team that needs a puck-rushing defenseman and you have the cap space for a Jack Campbell, maybe very small amount of teams actually fit into that description, but if you're a fan of any of these teams, what are your thoughts on this? Would you take on Jack Campbell's behemoth $5 million AV contract, that in which you can't bury? You're going to have to buy this out if you want to free yourselves from it in order to get Philip Broberg? Like, Broberg is not that good of an asset, in my opinion, to justify getting Campbell, but that's just me. If you're a fan of Broberg in his game, you're a fan of the Swedish profile that he has, then maybe this could work, but let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Would you need to attach another thing, like Broberg and the first and Campbell or something, in order to get yourselves that Campbell contract? Okay, we'll take on Jack Campbell's contract if you give us Broberg and a first and Xavier Bourgault or something like that. The price is going to have to be huge. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you think that price is just Philip Broberg? And if not, what else do you think needs to be added on there? $5 million is a lot, but Broberg and the potential that he could be, not really all too consistent enough. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about this entire Edmonton, Jack Campbell, Broberg thing. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.